wrist restrictor on.
There you go.
He put this thing on like a dope
We
thing.
we can we can talk wrist restrictor. That's fine. It's all good.
What you thinking?
I don't know. So I'm gonna. I don't know.
What are these?
I don't know. That's the problem is you get so many ball balls that just get sent in, and I gotta do reviews for them. So it's like, all right, I don't really ever know what to do. Where I'm stuck now is like we just got this new phase two, and I brought this one in because everybody loved it, and I hated the first one. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we talked about it, but I did it pin up, so it was like a 4.5 inch layout, and it ended up being it was just weird. It was so over under for me. And then we did those halos the way we did. We went that 5.5 inch pin or whatever. What did it? 5.5 by. So it actually ended up being, what was the first number? It was like 70 or 80. The first number really doesn't matter on symmetrical, but with the halos it did. So it was like 70 degrees by 5.5 by 60 is what it ends up being that way. And that's what this is. That's exactly what this is. So this is the same thing.
Is it time to maybe look at when we start getting into these balls that spin so slow and everything like that? Should we now start maybe looking at layouts that maybe match up to those differentials and stuff better?
Yeah, I'm wondering if this type of layout is probably only good for like the really strong balls
Right.
to get them to really slow down,
Right.
and that's what these are. These are like 253.054.
Okay.
Actually, no, the RG is pretty high actually, so that's not bad. These are actually cleaner cores then, if it's in the 2.5s.
So if the cleaner cores, they might just look better on the because these are we're calling these slower layouts. Are we? Are they slower down off the back of the
Yeah,
leg, right?
it's a cleaner layout. It's cleaner through the front.
Mm-hmm.
I think this layout actually allows me to stay in the bigger ball.
Okay.
Whereas, okay, so talking about like tour season and everything over the last few years, where we talked about my struggles,
Mm-hmm.
I was using 4.5 inch layouts like crazy. So it was
Right.
either pin up directly above the bridge or pin down directly below the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw how quick and responsive they were,
Right.
and it would force my angles to go left. I
Right.
feel like I was forced left, but then when I gave it away, it was so sharp and so quick. It was like quick snap stop.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like rounded. So that's when we talk, and you're like, well, you need to get it to slow down and round off of it
Right.
rather than be quick off of it.
Right.
So I'm wondering, but when I get onto the league conditions,
Mm-hmm.
when I can go a little bit further left, those 4.5 inch layouts look good,
Look great.
quicker.
Right.
Yeah. So
Because
like
and I believe that it because the ball is so much more volume in the middle there. Now the ball is it can slow down by the how the ball is laid out, and you not necessarily see it. It actually looks good when it goes back through the pins. Where on the flatter patterns, when you see them slow down, they look like they hook too early.
right.
So when we go into these slower type of layouts on certain pieces, especially like you say the halos and the idols and stuff like that, because when you put those balls in my hand, except for the Idol Pro, but it's still kind of slow. But the first Idol was like this,
Mm-hmm.
was like a phase two for me, and it was like hit or miss on certain conditions. But when I drilled them extremely, what I like to call them weaker and slower, the ball actually looked pretty good.
Right.
But it still was kind of sort of conditional. So on the house shots, in order to get our balls to be steeper, we can use balls that are laid out to speed up through the fronts but slow down instantly because it's in the puddle. The flatter patterns, we need stuff that just kind of rolls more forward and is more rounded in the back of the pattern. But with this ball now and other slower balls like Idol, how did your purple Idol come out when you drew it with this?
So
Was it kind of the
the
same?
idols I did at 5 inches rather than 5.5.
Okay.
So they actually end up being a little stronger than the halos.
Okay.
So they're a perfect stepping stone from the halos.
Okay.
So even though the halos are asymmetrical, they're still smooth and round.
Mhm.
Whereas you would think that the symmetrical idols would be smoother and rounder.
Mhm.
The idols actually give me that look like they're just a little quicker down lane
Yeah, makes sense.
because of the stronger pin position.
Right.
Not that 5 inches is strong, but we're
Mhm.
talking about still. I mean, it's so. And it kind of makes sense as to why I get my brains beat in out of tour events, because my thought process throughout the whole time was everybody's using all these big, strong bowling balls. I don't understand how people are using these and idols and the Halo line and these big, giant, strong bowling balls. And I feel like I'm using IQ tours that are hooking at my toe.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're hooking so much so early that I have to go left and get steeper and force it through the front to the right, and it never goes through the pins. So then I find a way to get to the pocket because I feel like I'm good enough to
Yeah.
throw good enough shots to get there, but I can't keep up carry wise because
Right.
I'm using the wrong layouts at that point, and
Right.
now I can't get the ball to go through the pins.
Or even the wrong axis tilt too, because now
Right.
you're backing out of the axis tilt to get the ball to go through the front, and now it's not shaping correctly down lane.
Right.
Whereas, like I said,
Yeah, so I'm thumbing it and shutting it down.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
You want to be able to, in Robert Smith terms, you want to be maximum bob at all times, but the ball stay on line and
Right.
do what it needs to do when
Yeah,
it gets off the back of the pattern.
I'm noticing now. That's why I'm in love with the halos and the idols because I can keep my stronger hand position in it. I don't feel like I have to back out of it to keep it online.
Yeah.
I feel like I can still kind of, in my short little 460 rev rate, bang on it. That's me banging on it. That I feel like I can do that, and I don't necessarily get forced to go left so fast.
Have you
So-
tried any of your newer, slower layouts on anything outside of the Storm rotor grip line?
No, those are the only 6 balls I've done with them.
Okay.
No, that's not true. Actually, I got a
A Hero.
replacement. That Hero was a 6-inch ball, was a
Okay.
6-inch pin,
Okay.
which that made that ball.
That was
sweet.
sweet.
Quick. Yeah,
That was real
that's going to be a tour ball for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Late in the day when I can go left and just kind of
Yeah.
shut the angles down and I need the ball to go through the pins, it's going to be perfect.
Right.
And then I did it also. They sent me a new Phantom because of the one that cracked out a little bit.
Okay.
I drilled a new one for the video, and it's a 5.5-inch pin as well.
Okay.
That one I think actually is 5 1/4, and it's right directly in the middle finger.
To let you play straighter.
Yeah, that one was a strong IQ tour.
Okay.
That one, I compared it a little bit to the IQ tour, and when the IQ tour wouldn't quite get through the pins, the Phantom did.
Yeah.
So,
That ball so-
but
so
and
much
it was on a
stronger.
league pattern though, so it's hard to really say.
Mhm.
But for anybody that doesn't know, we're just kind of trying to decide. We're trying to figure out, some different layouts other than what I've just been doing. A lot of the videos that I've been doing have been with this 5.5-inch pin layout type stuff. So we're gonna try and do some different things, maybe, or maybe not. Maybe I'll just stick with this until I feel the need to go with something different. But I figured it'd be good to get on and kind of talk about the thought process, why we're doing things the way we're doing.
I would maybe experiment with what you've been doing and maybe play around with that last number. Like if you're doing like around 70s and stuff like that, maybe do some 60s, maybe even try with a 51, and keeping everything else the same. So you're decreasing your overall number and seeing how the balls react. But I would say let's base it off of the design of the ball, like the differential and RG and stuff that the ball's characteristics are.
Right.
Maybe the characteristics of a slow ball, we try to speed it up,
Right.
and the characteristics of a fast ball, we try to slow it down a little bit,
Right.
and just see if maybe we can match them up some. Because if you think about it, when we were both bowling really well out on tour, we found that we scored better with more of the lower end to low mid pieces, because we could put our good strong layouts on those balls, and they always cleared the front, and they were different on the back end. But we ran into issues on the fresh because they were too quick down lane, and then we would try to get into something else, and it looks like a totally different pattern when we try to throw a different ball.
Right.
So like you like the Horizon back in the day. I used to throw like hides and what was like spirits, just lower end pieces that just flare like crazy, and I could use the layout to either get them to go sideways on the back end or go forward. But when I started to drill mid high end balls and high end pieces, they never came into play unless they had a lot of games on them.
Right.
So I think if I could do it all over again, I would pay more attention to the design of the ball Maybe I could have used the high end ball and drilled them totally different. Drilled them to be faster or slower depending on the characteristics of the piece.
Right.
Because maybe this layout here on this ball, maybe it needed I don't know, maybe a 50-inch on the last number or something, to make it cleaner and quicker or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Is like so. Say I go out to Shawnee for the Oklahoma Open, and we'll use this ball as an example. So now I've got this one at 70 by 5.5 by 60, and it's close. So it's getting me there, but I'm not able to do more than put a double or a triple together. So I'm shooting like 210 a game rather than whatever I need. And say I'm like 10 pins behind on pace. I'm wondering, do you think lowering that third number is going to?
I honestly would leave the third number the same on that one, and maybe raise the first number. I've heard of 90 degrees on the first number on balls this slow, make them flare like crazy, and then they give that look as the halo looks on the back end. I used to throw balls that were in like the 125 by 5 by I think like 30s and 40s.
Wait, you're saying higher first number?
I would raise the first number on this one. I would maybe throw a 90. All that's we're really going to do.
Well, the first number is not going to matter if it's symmetrical like this.
To me, it makes it flare more. It actually makes it flare less, because 90s will make it roll more on top of itself, and the 70s makes it flare out, and then when you get below that, then the ball starts to just see it too quick. On the patterns, I wouldn't drill anything under a 70 for the tour. 70 would probably be my slowest ball.
I think you're talking about the third number.
I'm talking about the first number.
Because the first number doesn't matter on symmetrical balls. Because
that's what I see.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, according to all the rules and according to Mo and the technicalities, because the core is symmetrical, technically that first number doesn't matter.
Do you feel like when you drilled your when you said you've done 40s and 50s, right? You done 40s and 50s on stuff like this?
I wouldn't be able to judge right now because I think I'm so screwed up from what my drill angles were before compared to what I'm using now. Because now that there's such a big, broad difference, there's a huge difference between the two. And you saw when I threw those old layouts compared to this, such a huge difference in ball reaction that I was.
Because what I see with yours now is your bowling balls, to me, from what my eye sees, they look the same going through the fronts and the mids. They just don't stand up and go that way. And then it makes you do weird stuff with your hand. And then it gets your backswing kind of weird too, because you're preparing yourself to back out of it at the end when you get ready to throw it. So your first, to me, your last number, it only changed the back end reaction. But I think if you changed your first number and left your last number the same, that ball now it shapes totally different out your hand. To me.
Right.
To me, it does. So to me, that number does kind of play a difference to me. Because in my train of thought, and I could be totally wrong on this, so don't take my word for it, and don't jump on me or kill me. But for me, the first number to me has always dictated how clean the ball projects through the front part of the lane.
And that's what they say. But again, the rule of symmetrical cores, they say that it doesn't matter. So
to me, that rule it seems like it dictates the whole picture of the ball.
Right.
I just feel like the first number just really dictates the front part of the lane, how the ball is shaping through the front part of the lane. I could be totally wrong, but I've always felt like that number, when it's smaller, the flare potential speed-wise is slower.
Because the first number is the horizontal movement, and then the second number is the vertical movement. So we're just taking the CG and shifting it.
Right.
With that first number.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that.
And I do think, I think, because here's the problem is, a lot of people don't take into consideration is even with a symmetrical ball, where you put those holes in that symmetrical ball is now creating an asymmetrical ball. No matter what, it's still it's recreating an asymmetrical ball because those holes are changing the core.
Mhm.
So I think you're right to an extent that that first number is going to matter because it's going to change where you put the holes in the ball a little bit.
Mhm.
So I mean at that point you would have to say that it does change a little bit
Mhm.
enough to notice.
For me, I
Studies say
noticed
it
it.
doesn't, but
Yeah.
if you notice it, then I guess it doesn't. I mean,
Yeah,
it's all
I've noticed
person to
it
person.
because I've whenever I want a ball that kind of looks like what I like, that's a big psycho hooking ball down lane, and I need it to back out a little bit, I'll go with a smaller number in the front if I like how it looks on the back end. And to me, it seems like it slows the flare potential speed wise through the front part of the lane down, which allows it to stand up quicker and be smoother but straighter.
Right.
Whereas if I go with a bigger number, now the ball seems like it flares more, which gets it to kind of go sideways through the mid part of the lane faster, which seems like it makes it jackknife harder on the back end, depending on how I got my third number set up.
Mm-hmm.
So, like in your case, when you went with those overall numbers, and what do we say? You had stuff that probably wasn't exceeding 90 to maybe 80 at the most.
And the first number,
Uh, Overall, your overall total.
overall total, yeah, it was probably like 45 by 4.5 by maybe 45.
Right. So to me, in just my opinion, it seemed like your ball was done skidding and reading and everything at about 30 feet. So now you're trying to either get around it totally to try to get it to scoop that extra 2 or 3 feet, or you're trying to back out of it so that the ball doesn't change directions too hard, and now you're through the face.
Huh? At all? Well, yeah. I mean, there's not much I can do about real low.
But when we increased your overall number,
I mean, people are commenting about it, so they got to be able to hear a little bit.
when you increase your overall number, though,
So we'll just talk louder.
To me, it seemed like your ball it's now reading more of the lane.
Right.
It reads more of the lane, and it allows the ball to trap the pocket to me better, because now it's not seeming like the back end is at the 30-foot mark. Now it actually seems like it's at the 50-foot mark.
Right.
Your
Yeah.
balls look longer and more, for lack of better words, it looks like it's predictable.
Right. So now my issue comes. So I figured out one layout that I'm like, you know what, or two layouts, or one basic type of
Mm-hmm.
like a theory in
Yeah.
a layout. So the 5.5 inch with the big third number,
Mm-hmm.
we know gives me that much better rounded shape.
Yes, I agree.
But I know I can't just go and put that layout on everything.
Right.
It's just not going to work. So
Right.
so what I need to do is I need to figure out what is another good layout that I can use that is going to be different enough. That's going to be able that when this type of shape, obviously this will be my go-to shape.
Mm-hmm.
When this type of shape doesn't work, I need to go to no. So we do have two. Let me take that back. We do have two layouts. We have the easier pattern stuff with
Mm-hmm.
that tall pin 45-degree angle layout, like
Mm-hmm.
on the Money Badger 2 or the Money Badger. You saw how good those looked on the league pattern that one day.
Mm-hmm.
So those look good there. And then we have this for when they're, when I really need to just round it out, be smooth, and be able to keep it predictable.
Mm-hmm.
Now I need to go in between those two.
Yeah.
Right.
I think for you it's going to be a slight, depending on the ball design, it's either going to be a slight tweak by maybe 10% with the first number to leave the last number the same, or leave the first number the same and tweak the last number.
What about pin distances?
I wouldn't change it.
You think so? You think stick with the 5 and
I
5.5?
love 5 in your hand, honestly, because the ball doesn't look like it's out of position when it gets down lane.
And I've always bowled better with the tighter flaring bowling balls.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I get those bowling balls that flare the entire ball,
You need those for league patterns.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I bowled on tour, I literally had 5 balls for league and about 10 or 12 balls for tournaments. But I wasn't smart enough to put together an arsenal like you have right here. I think we need to keep it simple and just, like I said, for a ball like this, after watching how it rolls, I literally would make this ball maybe at 80. Maybe at 80 and keep the rest the same. Or we want this ball to be a little bit earlier, maybe squeeze the lane some, because we know a 80 seems like 80 or 90 seems like it gives you only 30 feet of read, skid and read. Let's shorten that number up to maybe instead of a 70, make it a 60. and make it do what it's going to do, but quicker. That to me is what works for you. I could be totally wrong, but that's what I would experiment with. But I would keep that pin in that 5.5 range, depending on the ball. I like that in your hand or patterns. And then I'm gonna take it a step further. I think that you will never throw your league pattern balls outside of a kegel type machine. I think these balls are going to work better on the Brunswick running machines because it seems to me that the forward running machine seems like the patterns break down more in the front and they're just flatter to the back. So you don't need balls that are trying to stand up in the middle of the lane. You need balls to get down there and be the right shape.
Yeah, because all the Brunswick machine, all the patterns out on tour, they feel like they're oiled backwards.
Yes.
Like you got early hook, and then they're tight as snot down lane.
Yes.
Everywhere we go.
And I think these balls with different type of variations of surface or just a smidge layout, I think will give you the difference.
Yeah.
I think you're in the right boat with these layouts to go out on tour. To have a variety of like the stuff that you go to bowl in, like the tournament this past weekend in Ohio, then you go and bowl some of Regan's.
See, and even these still looked okay there.
Right,
Both 10,
but you get out of them though
Right.
eventually. You can't stay in them. I think on
Obviously,
tour
I
you
mean,
can stay in these.
Right. I use these all day long.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. When I bowl regionals, there's a lot of regionals I could play with some of my league stuff. Some of them, not a lot. I would always take my good league ball with me, and it didn't stay on the ring, but it came into play. Usually when the lanes just totally opened up, and I had to be the loft guide, or I had to throw it hard through something. I needed to just trap the pocket. I could throw my league balls, but I would throw stuff like this like for days. I used to have like a gold and purple Nexus. I used to live by it, and they were drilled just like that. They were drilled all over there with that 70 by 5 by
What's your axis? What's your positive?
4 3/8 out by an inch and a quarter up.
So I mean, yeah, because I'm 4.5 over by an inch up.
Yep.
So we're real close.
Yep.
Which is really weird. Your rev rate's just like
It's just my
600
rev
higher.
rate's just higher than yours. That's all.
We can't all be big power monsters with 800 RPMs like you.
At the end of the day, I was a better spinner of the ball than I was how I am now. I'm a little bit more forward because now my span's a lot shorter. So I used to get out of the ball. I never understood why my wrist hurt so bad, but I used to get out of the ball like this all the time. And the more I tried to stay behind it, my span was so bad, I literally would slip out of my ring finger when I tried to stay behind the ball.
Wow.
So I ended up having to go with a shorter span, one to take the pressure off my wrist, two to get basic pitches back in the ball, so I didn't have to have so much reverse in the fingers and stuff like that. And now I'm allowed now to stay more off the back of the ball and actually got my roll a little bit higher. I used to be lower than that. I used to be like around a 3.5. I used to be a big time spinner.
Right.
And now I'm actually ideal for me, what I would love to be at, and I'm working on it to get there. If I can get my roll to be like around 4 3/4 high, I think that would be perfect for the tour.
Yeah.
Because if you can get your ball to just be like this through the front part of the lane versus this, it doesn't seem like it really sees the friction in the front part of the lane as bad as the guys that do this. That's why I think a lot of guys get away with the urethane balls that have that side rotation, because the ball, it tricks the front part of the lane and then just rolls the rest of the way. Whereas I'm throwing my reactive stuff, it tricks and then it reacts down lane, and then it puts me in that I gotta move left zone, and it gets me in trouble every single time.
Especially with urethane, because it sees it even quicker.
Absolutely. And I don't throw urethane good at all, because it goes double, flat 10, 4-pin, and then I'll make a micro adjustment, and it blows past the head pin one shot, then I make another move, and it jumps through the face another shot, and before you know it, I got a 160 game, and I probably had 4 strikes in the game. So, but that's getting on to a different subject. But for you, we need to see what is these. Global to me has always seemed like a ball that wants to start up quick. That's one thing. I've only seen a couple balls.
Two I drove.
But you said they did.
Don't.
So they
don't.
must have made some changes in a few things.
those Money Badgers, those are the only two I drove. Was the Money
Mhm.
Badger Tour and that Money Badger, the Pearl, the
Okay.
green one.
Okay.
And I mean, you saw how good that green one looked
Yeah, I
in
did.
Detroit.
I did.
So I mean, I've had front 11 with it on the easier patterns twice now. So with both of them.
Mhm.
So
What was your numbers on those?
those ones were that typical pin up 40,
Okay.
45 degrees, the
45.
strong.
Okay.
So I'm thinking my issue with these are so we've got the Money Badger or the Honey Badger Extreme Pearl and the Honey Badger Extreme
It's a
Solid.
pretty ball.
Yeah, it's a good looking ball. I'm a little worried with the white in it because usually the white makes them see the lane a little bit quicker,
Yeah.
and then the solid one. I mean, it kind of reminds me of the Halo, so I might actually like it.
Yeah.
I'm wondering with the higher RG. It's not a high RG, but it's in the 2.5, so it's higher than normal.
Mhm.
Do I use the long pin still?
Or a variation of it. Maybe something that's kind of in between them.
Do like I don't because I feel like I've got those Money Badgers, so I wonder if these would be a good. I'll have those two with the stronger pen, with the 4.5 inch pen.
Mhm.
I could do these ones at 5.5, just like this.
Mhm.
See what they give me, because then I can do the videos comparing these to the Money Badgers,
Mhm.
possibly.
Maybe a 60 first number. 60 by 5 by
All right, so we go 60.
do a 60 by 5. You want to keep the 70? You want to keep the shape down lane the same?
What if we went taller?
So if that's the case, then maybe do a 60 by 5 by 55.
60 by 5
Just see what it looks like.
by 55. That's gonna put it.
I got my phase twos. I'm trying to play with some numbers on.
Phase threes.
Yeah, phase threes. I'm sorry. I'm trying to play with some numbers on. I'm not going to put a hole in that ball until I know what I want out of that ball or what I think I want out of that ball. I think this ball's going to be so sweet.
Okay, so that one, so that puts the pin basically directly above
Mm-hmm.
the middle finger,
Mm-hmm.
and then the mass bias will be about less than an inch,
The
about
mass
an
bias
inch
for
from
your other ones is like under the thumb,
right
kind of
under
sort
the
of.
thumb, like
Yeah,
right here.
you know, I think that would be cool because it'll give you the look of the two balls, in my opinion. Still trying to
This
be
would be
sharp.
like this would be like in between the idols and the halos.
Right, right. It's still trying to be sharp, but it still has the potential to be rolly depending on how you get your hand in the ball. Now you're kind of in a place where if your hand's in one position, it's going to see it one way, and if it gets in another position, it can kind of see it another way. Whereas if you get in your maximum hit position, the ball still aren't going to overreact. Whereas you get in the maximum hit position in your other stuff, it's going to hook almost at your toe. So now we're in a window where we're kind of in between, and we let our hand be the difference. Hand and eyes.
What I do notice really big on these layouts with the halos, the idols, and even this one when I used it a couple of times, um, they're really responsive to what your hand does. I mean, if you want it to kind of jerk down lane, you can make it jerk down lane. You
Yeah.
can get your hand around it and make it go down lane.
Yep.
And if you want it to be slow, you can make it slow.
I like bowling balls now that react more to. Cause I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't want to do nothing really with my hand anymore. I just use my eyes.
Right.
I want my eyes to. If I want it to roll quicker, I just want to look earlier. And I swear, I want to roll it into there because my hand is so bad now and my wrist is so bad that when I try to do tricks with it, I'm so inconsistent.
I'm looking for a new doubles partner for the PBA now. I've got an injured partner apparently.
My hand is so bad, y'all. So I try to use my eyes to give me the differences in things. Now I do have when I want to get the ball more up the lane and I want to be straighter, I try to get the ball to feel it more on this side of my hand and go through it this way. And I already know what it feels like to do this with it. But more so than anything, I want to use my eyes to how I project into the lane. That's something I've been working on.
Yeah, I use my eyes a lot. It doesn't necessarily get it started quicker or later, when I move my eyes closer to me,
Mhm.
it actually steepens my angle a pinch.
Me too.
So it steepens my angle and gets it to the dry faster. So that's maybe where you get it to see it
Yeah.
faster.
Yep. And one thing that Ronnie taught me, Ronnie Sparks taught me, is I always was envious of how he could jump right and keep a ball so straight in front of him. And he kind of taught me a trick where, like, I'm looking in the front part of the lane as to what I want to project into, and then my target down lane is almost left of what I'm looking at, and just allow my swing to bounce back in into the slot that it needs to. But it just takes trust. So my eyes are here, but my target down lane is left of it. And then I'm literally just allowing the lane to steer the ball back to the right, even though my eyes are looking left.
Right.
But then there's also projection windows in that too, where I can just really roll it at my toe and get it this way early into the lane, or I can get it longer down the lane and just get it long and off my hand. But my eyes make my roll more different than my hand does
Right.
these
Yeah.
days.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll use the front to back to change my angles quite a bit.
Yeah.
So when I'm really, because you can use it for two things. For me, when I look closer, my hand catches it more,
Okay.
and it gives me steeper angles.
Okay. Yep.
When I look further, I'm softer,
Mm-hmm.
and it shuts my angles down.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of use it both ways. If I need to be softer and get it through the front better,
Mm-hmm.
I will look further down lane.
Mm-hmm.
If I need to shut my angles down, I'll look further down lane.
Yep.
If I need to open my angles up, I'll look closer.
Look closer.
And
Yep.
if I need to catch it a little bit more, I'll look closer. But if I still need that shutdown angle, I'll look closer but move my eyes left.
Same with me.
So there's cool little tricks you can do.
Yeah.
But those types of things, that's what's cool, and that's why I like doing these types of videos. Because
Mhm.
people don't hear that stuff. Like
Yeah.
most guys aren't willing to share that type of information
Mhm.
because they don't think anybody. They think everybody knows that.
Right.
Like they think it's common knowledge that.
It wasn't for me, and I've
Yeah.
been bowling 32 years, and we literally had that conversation. I want to say like 2 or 3 months ago at a tournament. I said, Ronnie, how the heck do you throw it so straight off your hand? And he kind of taught me that, and I went to go and try it, and I actually works better even when I play inside now, because now I'm not trying to belly the ball to the gutter all the time. And guys see me bowl throughout the state.
Are you on the stream there?
Yeah.
Do you have some questions on there? We can.
Someone said shorten your span, that'll give you more reps.
I can't say that it did. If anything, it allowed my hand to be more versatile. So I've always had. I think my rev rate at the time, what did I say, like 573, I think at one point.
Too high.
It's five. I think it was 573.
All right. Only 110 higher than me. No
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah, but I think that part's the same. But I had a span that restrict me from doing anything else with it. That was the issue I ran into, and my wrist hurt so bad. So I had to do something, but I don't think it increased my rev rate though.
Technically, by shortening your span, it should increase your rev rate as long as you don't do it to a point where you feel like you're losing it off your hand.
Yeah.
Because rev rate comes from your thumb getting out faster than
Right.
your fingers.
Right.
So the quicker your
Right.
thumb gets out, the quicker your thumb gets out compared to your fingers,
Mhm.
the more rotation and the faster you can get through the ball.
I don't think it increased it. I just think that now I can stay in it longer. People don't know I bowled for 20 years, dropping the ball off my ring finger.
Bro, you're old.
I literally would go 6 shots in a row, and the ball would slip off my ring finger because it was and the ball fit. We sitting here at the counter, it fits my hand, but at the point of release, whatever happened with my grip pressure, I don't have a lot of grip pressure in my ring finger for whatever reason, and it would slip off. So a pitch and the span is so important to me right now. I can feel a bad pitch.
Right.
And now that I don't get away with it because that young grip isn't there anymore, everything has to be solid with my fit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else you got on there?
Nothing much. I'm trying to pick out the regular questions.
The regular questions. There's some unusual ones on there.
Yeah, a few.
Let me see what I can find here.
Well, we always want to do what this shop wants to do. I know a lot of people that's probably on this stream now has probably read my post from the other day that got a lot of likes, and I want to thank everybody for sharing it. When me, Anthony, and my wife put this shop together, we put this shop together with the notion that we wanted to change the perception of bowling as well as the mindset. if we came in here every single day and never sold a bowling ball, but we can sell a lesson, or we can sell a conversation to somebody, or we can sell a strategy to somebody, that to me is worth more than any ball sale we've ever made in this shop. Because anybody can come in and get a ball and drill it, but if you have no strategy behind what you're when you're throwing it, how you're throwing it, how the ball reads the floor, how you even reading what the ball is doing. If you're not reading it properly, you'll actually just be drilling balls to just get the same thing over and over and over again. Still, probably the biggest student of own a pro shop. So what we want to do is as we gain knowledge, and the three of us sitting here and we talk about things. Not to mention, we're all playing the game from three different levels as well too. Jr. is more on the industry professional side of it. Anthony's more on the amateur hustling side of it,
House
per
hack.
se, house hack as we would like to call it. And I'm more so stuck in between the two. So therefore, we're able to throw ideas up against the wall and just see how they all stick to the wall. And every day we come in here and we brainstorm different ideas, and we try to come up with ways to say how can we execute consistently without so much effort. So Jr. over the years that I've watched him, even when he was on a winning streak, I always felt like if you ever ran into something, because your backswing was always the thing I paid attention to. Because if your backswing ever was off and it didn't quite match your feet, I knew that you would pull it, or I knew that you would stick, or something would happen. Because your backswing has got a percent timing window in it that if it's off ever so slightly, your whole game's off.
I don't think it's like that anymore.
And it's not like
I
that
think
now,
it's gotten a lot better.
because now you've got a bowling ball now that I don't think you're working as hard to try to get it in position to do something down lane. I think that's why your swing got so weird, because you're preparing yourself to do something at the point of execution. Now
Yep.
that that's out of the play, now you just execute.
It's so weird because like it seemed like before when I was seeing early hook, it was weird. It was like I'd pull it back, I'd loop it back around, and then
Yep.
I'd pull it back in again,
Yep.
knowing like I'm trying to shut it down. It was so weird. But I on top of having bowling balls that float through there and round it off a little bit better,
Hmm.
I think the four step actually helped a lot.
It
too.
did. It
And
really
I think
did.
it brought it down even just a few inches, made a huge difference in my feel,
Yep.
and I feel a whole lot more solid at the line.
Yep.
So one of the guys I'm watching an awful lot right now is every morning my boy he'll want to watch bowling,
Hmm.
so we'll turn on YouTube and we'll put it up. One of the kids that I'm watching an awful lot of right now is Chris Prather,
Oh man,
just because he's so physically sweet at the
that's
line.
that's
Like,
got to be probably the best shot maker on tour
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Arguably the best shot maker on tour.
and it's just you very rarely see him stumble on anything.
Nope.
Like his shot, I mean, it's the same thing over and over again.
Hmm.
So I think he puts an awful lot of emphasis and focus on seeing his ball through the target and just sticking the landing.
Absolutely.
Are we
Right.
gonna predict him a win this year? It's
He's already won. What are you talking about?
about the upcoming season. The only way we mention somebody winning, they win.
Yes. Oh, let me also tell y'all that too.
They owe us.
We have conversation in this shop where we'll talk about, let's say like Sean Rash or something, and we'll say, man, I ain't seen Rash like win nothing, but I see he's close every single time. He got to break through sometime soon. And the very next weekend, he wins. You owe me a check, man. So we have a. I think the only thing we haven't guessed right in here is the lottery. We predicted Chris Prather was gonna win when he won. We predicted Buttriff was gonna run over the field when he started winning. We've done a lot of prediction in here just based off of what we see and how we see things develop. And next thing you know, it happens. So we're bowling geeks in here, but we try to do it the cool way. But
it's kind of cool. Like when you talk about guys who have success, and it comes in streaks most times.
Mhm.
The guys you see not really streaky, like the one guy that comes to mind right now that's not very streaky, has been pretty solid over the last 5 years or so, is EJ.
Mhm.
EJ's been pretty solid. And and the patterns have changed slightly each year, and he's adjusted to it.
Yep.
Now, when he was young, when he was that 21, 22 first making shows,
Yeah.
or first coming out and starting to make shows, I think he was pretty streaky then, maybe because he didn't quite understand. But now he's able to really create the same shapes every single week, and it's really
And it
cool
looks
to
like
see.
he plays the patterns the same way,
Yeah.
no matter what he plays on.
He tries to.
Yeah.
It seems like. I mean,
Yep.
and don't get me wrong. Like the one time I was out there and I basically interviewed him through a whole block.
Yeah.
It was the worst block he probably ever had in his
Yeah, I
life.
saw that.
I'm gonna go ahead and take the blame for that. But like I've never seen him bowl that bad before, other than when he bowls outside of the PBA because he never bowls good anywhere other than the PBA. So but he no, I mean it just he's one of those guys. You watch guys go through phases. You'll see somebody like Sean. He was dominant for 4 years straight,
Yeah.
and then he kind of disappeared a little bit, and now he's back to being on top again.
Same thing with Bill O'Neill.
Yeah.
Not that these guys ever fall out of the cash around. They're always picking up checks. But we're used to seeing these guys doubling on the 10 float for the title. We're just not seeing that. But now you are.
What happens though? Like, what do you think happens to these guys when they go from they're making a bunch of shows to now all of a sudden it's like they're only catching a few checks and not making shows?
They have the same issue you have. It's just layouts and so many balls they got to try. They don't know
You
what
think patterns change?
I think
changes
it's
shapes?
burnout, to be honest. I mean, look at Andrew Anderson. Andrew went through a
Yeah,
phase
that's a good
where
example.
he was just bowling really good. Everything was going well. And then me and Ed talked about it and said, man, every time I turn around since he's won, he's always bowling. He's always got a ball in his hand. It didn't matter if it was a pro-am, if it was a clinic, if it was a small tournament. And it wasn't like he was bowling here at home either. Between the travel and bowling all over the world and having to do clinics and things like that, I got to imagine these guys burn out. Rash would be probably the perfect the perfect person to come to mind, because not only does he bowl everything, but he's always coaching. He's always in the game, and he has to do it from a industry standpoint as well as an athlete standpoint, and he has to hide his emotions too. So imagine you. I think all three of us are guilty of when we get emotional about things.
Here we go.
That has a way of weighing on us too.
The emotional guy.
When the emotions set in, and we don't have a place to place it because we're in an environment that if we place it somewhere or we say something, that might be a $200 to $1,000 fine. So guess what you got to do? You got to harbor it somewhere. And if you're not in a place where you can maturely displace it and use it as tackling fuel, as we like to call it,
Tackling fuel.
it consumes us. And that's in my opinion, where the burnout comes in at.
Yeah.
Not to mention, this ties into my post yesterday. I think a lot of guys too fry out because they don't respect the people that are getting the checks right now. A lot of guys are watching.
I'm guilty of that. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I am guilty of that. It does, and it shouldn't bother me. I like seeing other people have success, but my problem comes when it was a place when I was at a time where it was like I was beating most of these guys on a daily basis, and not just beating them, but just stomping the hell out of them.
Yeah.
But, and now all of a sudden these guys are making me look foolish.
Yeah.
That's when it hits my ego.
It hits your ego. Yeah.
It hits my ego.
I get it.
Gives me these insecurities. Now it's all of a sudden like, what the heck just happened?
I get it.
So
I totally get it.
And it's not that I don't want to see them have success. That's not it at all.
It's just let me run with them.
Yeah, it's like, let me have the same success.
Yeah.
Why all of a sudden do they have it and I don't?
Yeah.
And it's really hard to figure that out. That's the key, is trying to figure out what changed to make me, not the bowler that I was. And it's not anything really physical. I'm going to tell you what changed for me. This is what changed for me. I took a damn job. That's what changed. I took the job at Turbo.
Yep.
And even though I worked in that facility at the training center, which everybody assumed I was just there practicing every day.
No, you're working.
No, I had no time to practice ever. I was either on the road constantly, and when I'm on the road, I'm out going to places where I don't have time to practice. I don't get done working until 9 o'clock at night.
Got kids.
Kids, when I get home, I don't want to go bowl because I want to be home with my kids.
Right.
And then when I'm at the office working there, I'm on the phone with people. I'm emailing constantly. I'm calling. And then when I'm in the training center, at the end of it, I was doing videos and I was just training and coaching. I never had time to actually practice. And the time that I set aside It was like 10 minutes here, 10 minutes
Right.
there. It
Right.
wasn't nearly enough.
Right. For me, ever since I bought this shop, and Anthony can attest to this, we had a little stretch going where we just practiced on Wednesday. We literally shut everything out and just practiced on Wednesday. But since I bought this shop, I have not, and let me repeat, I have not practiced a day
Let's
since
just
I
be
bought the
honest.
shop.
We only practice when we feel like we can't hit the side of a barn. Then
Exactly.
we'll practice.
Then we have to go out there and carve out some time to bowl because it's pointless to go out here and try and compete against these guys that are doing it day in and day out.
Bro, we only got till February for this.
Right. So with all that being said, this is where my post comes into play. We have to be mentally sharp because what we can't do physically, you have to have yourself in a calm position where you can, because we're all smart enough to go months and still be competitive if we don't let our egos get in the way. And if we go out here and we throw shots and we pay attention to what the ball's doing and we make adjustments, we might even be standing in the wrong zone because of what the shot says we're supposed to play in. But that's what's telling me I have to do today. So they're throwing your thing and I don't throw it well. So I better find a way to get in traction with them and repeat shots. Not say, why did they put this shot out here that I can't hit? Because that's what it translates to. And you can phrase it in any different language you want and say, it's too easy, it's do this, it's do that. But it's really boils down to, why is this shot out here that I can't hit?
You're really touching a nerve, bro. Touching a nerve. No, and it's not. And I do agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. When it doesn't matter what the pattern is out there.
Yeah.
Our goal is to execute and to
Yes.
figure out how to get the ball to go through the pins.
Yeah.
I get that. My only argument to that is when it's at a bigger stage, when it's in an event that has a bunch of money in it, it shouldn't come down to those types of, I don't want to call them lucky, but 9 times out of 10 on those softer conditions, people end up stumbling into the good ball reaction. They don't find it. They don't look for it.
I can argue that it's a lot of bowlers on tour that are cashing checks, and it's a lot of bowlers that's been out on tour. And I'm gonna throw a name out there. Why is Nathan Bohr not winning? And I think he throws it phenomenal.
Throwing too good.
Why is Jesse Buss? And I don't even know if he's still out there.
He's
or
not.
not. Okay.
He gave it
Why
up.
is Jesse Buss,
John Zerbinski.
John Serbinsky? Why are these guys? Why did Fagan quit? And come out of it. Besides a job, I tell you why. Because shot makers on tour they're in the fidgety position where they don't get away with the gimmick, which is like just jump on the urethane wave or throw it hard, Eugene McCune type thing. They don't have a gimmick, so they have to trust that we're shot makers. We got to make shots, and we gotta hope that we're in the right part of the lane that gives us left to right. Because bowling's all about left to right. If you have missed it, if there is no, and I'll repeat this, there is no bowler bowling for any amount of money that scores on a day-to-day basis that are splitting boards. Not one. But what they do is they get themselves in position where they have pull this way and spray that way, no matter if it's on a pattern or it's on a house shot. Our job is to figure out how to get our left to right.
I always figure that out. That's the easy part.
Now, how do I carry?
How do I get the ball through the pins? That's the hard part.
That's your job.
That's the hard part.
Right. And
Because
this is where it's at.
It's minor tweaks too.
Yep.
Because I bowled 10-20.
Yeah.
So there's no complaints there. I figured it out that day.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came out the next day.
And got your 70s.
I bowled 270 the first game.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, I got it figured out finally.
Yeah.
I go to the next pair, my ball goes 6 feet further.
I should have been looking down at what they had. It's less people.
And I'm looking and I'm like, okay.
Because
now what do I do?
Because
so
you know better than anybody. When we used to bowl on Sundays, you had my number on Sundays because it was so fresh. I could lead the field on Saturday because we had so many more people and everything. The lanes transition a lot faster. It opens up to my wheelhouse, and I can blow the field away and lead it. But y'all knew y'all had me on Sunday. I was gonna come out the gate 190, 190, 190, 20, 160. Then they open up a little bit, 220, 230. Then they open up more, 260, 270. But by that time,
so far behind.
I'm chasing third place.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my whole thing is how the heck do I get this? How do I get my ball to be tame where I can compete with these guys when they're fresh? It's nobody's fault but mine because I keep coming here on Sunday doing the same thing. So if I allow my emotions to get to me and say I don't never bowl anything when I come in here on Sunday morning, right? If I don't come in here and bowl anything on Sunday morning, so now in my head now is saying I'm going to bowl bad out the gate. I do it all the time, but I always get it back towards the end. That's a poor mindset. My mindset now is I need to turn around and figure out how do I get out the gate and stay in the race so that I can keep up with it.
See, you're exactly right because my mindset was the opposite of that.
Mm-hmm.
My mindset was always, okay, give me the fresh. I'm going to grind it out. I'm going to keep it in front of me, and I'm going to sit there and I'm going to beat the hell out of people shooting 220 when everybody's shooting 180.
Yeah.
Because I'm that much better than everybody else keeping it straighter and keeping it in front.
Yeah.
But then when they opened up, I'm like, I hope they get so hard that they never open up. And if they do, and when they did open up, now I'm like, my head just goes boom down to the bottom. I'm like, I'm talking about me. And I'm like, dang, now I'm screwed.
Yeah.
Now so I'm hoping that I have a 200 pin lead going into the
That's
last
what I was
4
just
games.
ready to say. Now you kicking yourself throughout the whole thing. You pissing me off because you got a 220 look on every pair, and this guy's trying to clobber 270 because he knows it's there. But he's pissed because he only got 220 on the board, and I literally finna strike out for 170. So we're both fighting each other without saying a word to each other. Yeah, you're pissing me off, and you laughing at me, and I feel like you're laughing at me, so that's pissing me off. And so now our emotions are all over the place. But if I calm down and I just keep saying, okay, this is another Sunday where I know my ball does this on the back end, and I don't throw urethane well, so maybe I need to drill something that's a little closer to vertical axis. Maybe I need to drill something that's or throw something with more surface. I don't know. I need to slow this ball down. That's what I need to do. And I don't need it to read here. I need it to read down here, but I don't need it to jackknife off of it either. I just need it to be slow. Let me line up for a flat 10 or a roll 2 pin.
Mm-hmm.
That's my mindset now.
Yeah.
And I feel like the field ain't that much better than me. So if I'm playing to wrap dime or roll a 2, I got a good chance to stay in the race until they open up. That's a different mindset. Instead of saying, God, I hope this works out. Because your head is saying, I hope I have 260, 270 out the gate for the first 4 games. And then when they start to open up and I know my look's going to kind of go, I hope I got a 200 pin lead. Now you're saying, I want to find a way to clobber this pocket from game 1 to game 8. What's my strategy?
My mindset, and I haven't.
Before you finish, someone's in the comments saying they want to learn how to hit the ball with one hand. So they tried a wrist piece, and I think he said it fell off his hand too much. What do you suggest? Real quick.
Lessons. I mean, honestly,
Yeah. No shade, but it's something that a coach can see in how you release the ball that has everything to do with why you favor having the 2-handed release versus the 1.
He said he tried a 2-handed release, but it just looks too much. He can't control the hook.
It sounds to me like he's got more issues with getting the ball more vertically up the lane.
Tell him they need to come and see me.
But he needs to
Mason.
come see me or JR, and we can take a look at it, and then we can figure out what we need to do. To me, it sounds like he's just throwing it to the right.
If they're too far away, then they need to sign up for the virtual lessons, and we'll get on the call and we'll look at it there. Which I'm behind on those. I got to catch up on.
You got to catch up. I know.
But yeah, so my
Tell me
problem,
your new mindset. Let's do that.
So my old thought process, and it's getting better, but I was never able to figure it out. That's why I stopped bowling anything easy.
Yeah.
Because my mindset changed, and I didn't know how to get it back to where it was going to be.
I appreciate you for stopping coming. Leave that to me. House hat.
Tell about the house hat tournaments.
So I stopped bowling anything easy because when they were tough, and I knew they were tough, I could get into my grind mentality and just tell myself, just go out there, control it, get 9.
Yeah.
And I'm bowling 240s.
Yeah.
But then when they're easy, and I know everybody's got that 240 look, I'm out there trying to strike. I get away from that grind mentality.
Right.
My shot making goes out the window and things. And now I'm pressing and I'm pissed off because my ball's not doing what I want it to do. And I could never, for the life of me, over all of my life, I couldn't figure out how to get into the right mindset when they were easy.
Yeah.
But because and recently I've actually been a little bit better with it. A, because of confidence in bowling balls and layouts that we've talked about,
Huge.
and B, because I took so much time off of basically competing all the time.
Yeah.
To where it's now I'm like I was going out in those tournaments like I wasn't going in expecting to win. I mean,
Yeah.
I know I had a chance to win no matter what, but I wasn't going to be pissed if I didn't.
Right.
So my new mindset was just go in there and just bowl, just make shots, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I'm scoring on the easy stuff again.
Yeah.
Up until game two
Just game 2. Yeah.
of that last
Yeah.
last weekend.
So what did you learn from that? What do you feel like you could have done different in hindsight now, looking back at it?
See, I think my problem was is I got away from that mindset again. I think I went straight to, well, I'm bowling 250, 270, 280 or whatever each
Yeah.
game. So my expectations went shot through the roof, and all of a sudden I'm looking for that the entire time.
Gotcha.
So my
so you
mindset
you
goes
gotta
back
have a
to
process.
that. Yeah, I got away from the process and what I was trying to do,
Yeah.
and it just caused something different to happen.
Right.
So maybe it was me grabbing on it a little bit more, or getting amped up and throwing it just a pinch harder, which made it go a little couple feet down the lane. And so that's why my ball was wrap 10. But I ran into the whole, it was flat 10, 4-pin.
Yeah.
It was one of those reactions. And if I tried to open my angle up, it hooked too early in 4-pin. If I shut it down, it didn't hook enough and it flat 10. So I was like, well, I feel like I'm a bowling ball away.
Yeah.
When in reality, I probably could have just softened up with my hand and maybe moved my eyes a little bit closer.
That happened
Speaking
to
of
me.
that,
That happened to me.
what
in
do you
Georgia.
consider grind?
What do you mean? What do you
When
mean?
you say you just want to grind out a game, do you just switch and grab your thing, or you just change
No. Like just keeping my hand behind the ball, keeping it forward, keeping my angle shut down, and controlling the pocket. That's grinding.
That's grinding. Yeah.
It's not. You're not trying to hook the lane.
Just
You're
in case
just-
somebody want to know what grinding was.
Yeah, you just want to keep it in control. You want to be able to. You want to be in control of what's going on a lane and what your capabilities are. It's not so much. At that point, I'm not looking for 240 or 250. I'm looking for 10 good shots in the pocket, make all your spares, and hopefully catch a double somewhere for 2-0.
That's the grind I remember.
Yeah, that's a grind.
Yeah.
But they don't get like that anymore, and a lot of it is A, it is because of bowling balls, and B, just the way the patterns develop so much now. It just the grind mentality has changed. I think from 2-0 to 210. So now you're looking for a couple of doubles somewhere.
I think that
But is grind something you can be taught, or something you just have to learn on your own?
grind is a mentality.
Yeah.
Let me answer that one. Grind is not getting ahead of the process, and I think that we do that not just as bowlers, but we do that as people too. We look and see people having accolades, whether you call it money or cars or houses or businesses and things like that, and we don't respect the work ethic that it takes to get to that point. There's a process in between everything that we do, and we get to a place where we want to skip steps, and then that's where the emotions come into play. So therefore, now we've lost track of what we're out there for, what we wake up for. For me, the birth of my son is my grind. So whatever the day brings my way, I can't let it overwhelm me because I gotta get home to my kid, And so whether it's bowling or it's work or it's whatever, we're not trying to just be millionaires in one shot. We're trying to be in the game long enough to allow us the time to get to the $1 million, whether it's in my lifetime or it's in my kid's lifetime. Bowling is life, whether anybody wants to admit it or not. It is a part of life. And if you apply your life lessons to how you approach the game, you'll find out it's one and the same. Whereas he thinks that the grind isn't out there as far as because of bowling balls and things of that nature. I would argue that if you just stay in the game long enough, you might look up and the next pair might be where your shots are. That same grind now, instead of it being 210, it might have 270 on that pair. How many times have we gone to places and we knew a bay was going to give it up? We go to that bay and we knew a grind over there. I'm grinding if I shoot 240 on this pair. If I got the nuts, I'm gonna have 280 or 300 on this pair because this bay gives it up. It does it every year. So sometimes grind doesn't equate to just staying in something. Sometimes grind just means don't get ahead of myself. Let me just make good shots like I know how to make and let the chips fall where they lie. because this may not be my pair, but the next one might be, and I need to be ready for that when I get to it.
Another question for you, JR. People want to know how do they sign up for virtual lessons, even though they're getting a free one right now. How do they
Yeah,
sign
right.
up for virtual lessons?
It's www.patreon patreon.com/life's traction control. I'll put a link in one of the comments, and I'll pin the comment below once this is done, so that way people can go over there. But usually what that is, it's $25 for a lesson. You send me a video from directly behind, and we'll break it down. If you have specific things you want to work on, you type it out in the email. Let me know what things you want to work on, and we'll work specifically on those. And then that's $25 a month. If you want 2 lessons a month, it's $40. So, and then we got some different things coming out. We're gonna be working on some things here for the Proshop as well. So I'm not gonna release that information yet, but it'll be coming here shortly. We just gotta figure out exactly how we're gonna do it. So
We got secrets.
We're trying to reshape the mindset. Everybody's got a pro shop, but what makes us different is that we're trying to train up the mind to be more positive and to be able to embrace the process that it's getting ready to endure. Bowling is a sport, and
no, it's not.
And I also want to argue that it can be a way of life. It really can. And one thing that me and JR and Anthony like to always talk about is that in life we like to get in a place where we try to force the issue to create results that is telling us that it's not there. And if we can learn to just move, make these subtle adjustments, and be able to step out of our comfort zone to try something new, it might change your life.
And trust me, it works.
It might totally change your life. It might feel uncomfortable for a minute, might feel uncomfortable for a season. But if you stay with it and trust in the process, it can be the change that can really catapult your game and your life to another level. So, look forward to different videos. We've been talking about wanting to have these types of sit downs. This is organic. It's not scripted. This is something that we just kind of threw it at the wall to see if it worked. But our shop, you know, you guys see me and Anthony play around with it, and we play video games. We shoot the breeze. We joke. We do all sorts of stuff in here. It's not a stuck-up pro shop, you know. It's a barber shop to a certain degree. We can talk about any and everything in here. But the more so than anything, we all three of us want to be successful bowlers and businessmen and entrepreneurs in this pro shop. We have goals and we have things that we would like to accomplish. And the only way we're going to accomplish these things is if we embrace the process until we walk into our promise.
It's teaching, man. That's one of the things that's really helped me is to really start embracing other people and starting to teach the game more so than being so self-centered about it and trying to focus on myself.
Absolutely.
It's being able to help other people and to submit that information to the world, to the people who are willing to listen to it, whether they think I'm right or not, or think any of us are right. You know, it's just different information.
And it's coming from the right place too. It's not coming from a place where we're trying to hinder anybody or we're trying to get money out of you or do anything. This is something that we feel will grow the sport. And it's always been said, when you surround yourself with good people, only thing that can grow out of it is good. So if all of our customers and our friends and everything are trying to become knowledgeable about the game, it now makes everybody else want to get better. I think we've just run into a place where the game has gotten so more technical and it's easier to sell it than to educate why we need it or why it works.
Now that you said, I got a question. Joe Jeffries want to know, what do you feel the strongest ball for sports pattern?
Your eyeball.
Yeah.
Honestly, because you have to understand what the lane is asking you to do. Pretty much. I was telling JR, I went to Georgia. I bowl this 10-game marathon every year. I go there, and what it is you bowl 5 games on a short pattern and you bowl 5 games on a long pattern. And the one thing that was definite about this tournament was the building. I understood the building. So on the long pattern, Out the gate, I threw, and I'm really loving that Gravity Evolve. That Gravity Evolve is really growing on me.
Yeah.
I used my Gravity Evolve, which honestly, for me in the old me, that's the wrong thing to do on a long pattern because I need a ball to hold line and store energy until it comes out the end of the pattern, and then it makes a sudden type of move, a subtle move. Now I was able to know that the fronts of this place hook so much that I was able to trap it with a big ball and just let the ball roll off the line down lane. But towards the end of everything, the short patterns I used like an MVP, a version of like an idol or MVP. But when we went back to that bay later in the block, if I would have threw that same gravity evolve, it would have just went 60 feet. So I ended up using that MVP, which ended up being the biggest ball on the pattern. So your eyeball has to be your biggest ball no matter what you bowl on. And don't think just because you bowl in a house shot that you can just grab a ball and average 240. Because if your eye is reading that the wrong way, you can shoot a big game one game and have two small games the next two.
That was the old me.
So, and Brad Angelo, I don't want to steal that from anybody, but I took a Bowl U class, and Brad Angelo said,
Wait, just let them know you're professional. You still take lessons.
"Oh yeah, and it cost me $250 too."
Okay.
So I took a Bowl U class with Brad Angelo when they were in Ohio, and he said, and I'll never forget it. He said, "My best ball in my bowling bag is my eyeball," and from that point, it changed my life because you can't drill your way into a title. There is no such thing as doing it. The best bowlers in the world, and I'm gonna say probably arguably the best bowler in the world, in my opinion, is Norm Duke. Norm, I don't even want his brain in my body because it has to be like it has to know a cure for cancer by how he thinks and how strategic he is. He never looks like he's emotional. He never looks like he. Have you ever seen him like mad? I've never seen him mad. Have you seen him mad? I've never seen it. But when he gets on the lane, he's so calculated that he scores on stuff that I think he's going to struggle with.
I'll correct that. I've never seen him mad in front of fans.
Okay.
I've only seen him mad in the
paddock.
paddock.
Okay.
And where the bowlers are.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. But Duke is so strategic. I remember we bowled one year out in Thunderbolt, and this is when the Shark first came out. And I don't know about you guys, but the Shark was like bowling on freaking ice. Balls just
Tournament of Champions.
Even the Tournament of Champions has got some hook in the front part of the lane. It's like Badger kind of sort of.
Yeah, the old tournament.
Yeah. It would shim in the front.
Yeah.
It was shim in the front. This Shark was literally you set it on the lane. I think you can literally set it on the lane and just do this, and the ball would just spin the entire day. That's how much oil was on the lane. It never saw friction. So I'm looking around and I can't get my ball to do anything. Side note, that's how I missed tour trials that year. I bowled great. All the other three patterns, I get the Shark and I gave it all back.
Which makes zero sense.
Right.
I mean,
I gave it all back. Ant talks about it to this day, like, man, she was hanging off the gunner on the cheetah and the viper and all this. You look so great. You got the Shark. You're like
Fish out of water.
Like a fish out of water.
Yeah,
I was just out there. So, long story less long. I want to laugh at somebody because I'm emotional and everything. I'm gonna go watch Norm Duke bowl.
he's striking like a madman.
He was about 280 something over on that pattern. Because no matter what, he never gave up that pocket. And he found a way not only not to give up the pocket, because it wasn't like he was leaving Swisher 5 pins or anything. His 6 was kicking the 10 out.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
That's why, I mean, and he's so, that guy is such an inspiration to bowling because he's literally probably, and there's a few guys you could probably name in that category of like a mechanic who can do anything to a ball. But he's literally one of the only guys I know who can comfortably change his tilt from 0 degrees to 20 degrees on command and do it consistently over and over again. And I'm here teaching people that the normal human being cannot change your axis tilt by more than 6 degrees.
I agree.
Without becoming uncomfortable.
I agree.
And this guy was doing it by at least 20 degrees.
They see him do that little towel trick he does, but his hand can literally do that out of a bowling ball for as long as he needs it to. I've seen his hand just roll out of a ball like he
I
flipping
mean,
it
you
out
know
of
what
a
it
club.
is. I mean, you know why he's able to do it better than anybody else.
What is that?
It's all visualization.
That's it.
He can see it.
His
He can
eyeball.
see his hand. It's his eyeball.
Yeah.
He can see his hand doing it.
Hmm.
And that's what I've done all my life is whenever I'm like, okay, I need to learn how to do this, I'll watch somebody who does that,
Yeah.
and then I'll go practice seeing what they do and
Mhm.
making myself do it.
Hmm.
Doesn't mean I can do it consistently, but
Right.
with over time and practice, it took me a full year and a half to get my tilt to go from 0 to 9 degrees
Yeah.
just from practicing and trying to get my hand to do it.
Hmm.
So now I'm consistently at about 9 to 11 degrees
Yeah.
all the time,
Hmm.
which has made me that much more competitive. But it took me a year and a half, whereas Duke can go from one day to the next
Yeah.
and do it.
Yep.
Like it's silly. It's
Yep.
just stupid.
Yep.
That's why he's 50 some years old, still winning on the kids tour.
Yep. It's his eyeball. His strongest ball is his eyeball. It doesn't matter what he throws. He compliments Storm by throwing this stuff, but he can throw a marble down the lane and get it to carry. Not just hit, carry. You
Most
know?
times, yeah,
Yep.
most times. And the problem, like, and that's one of the teachings now is, especially when I'm talking to some of the young ladies who are, bowling in college,
Mhm.
or their biggest complaint is always, well, I don't have the rev rate.
Yeah.
Well, rev rate's not really that big of a deal,
At all.
especially if you're going to the ladies tour. That's not a big deal at all.
Mhm.
On the men's tour, it's hit or miss.
Mhm.
Like the only thing that rev rate affects on the men's tour is the front of the lane.
Mhm.
The front of the lane goes, then you're having trouble.
Yeah.
Because you don't need rev rate to get your ball to go through the pins.
Nope.
But with all the rev rate there tearing up the front part of the lane,
It takes your ball out of position.
it makes it very hard for these guys like Duke to get their ball to the spot that they want to get it
Mhm.
to get it to go through the pins,
Mhm.
and without like lofting it over and
Right.
doing all these silly things that
Gimmicks.
you shouldn't be
Little
doing anyway,
gimmicks.
without having a gimmick. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's the hard part is once you get to a certain point where you're battling the kids with all their rev rate,
Mhm.
it's all angles.
Yep.
It's all entry angle. It's all angle through the front, angle through the back. It's just figuring out how to get your ball to do it right.
Yeah. Brad Angelo also he had us do a trick where he stood up these 10 pins right here at our feet, so we standing right on top of them. And he's like, I want you to knock all the pins down. So we stand all these pins up, and we all trying to spin the ball to get it to go through the pins. It's at our feet. It's literally right at our feet. He said, "You want me to show you how to knock them all down?" He took the ball, went right in front of the pocket, and literally just half rolled it through the pocket, and it hit like the 1, 3, 5, and everything just fell onto each other. He said, "Bowling is all about pin deflection, and what makes us all different as bowlers is our rev rate and speed, because it makes our pocket that much bigger or that much smaller, depending on the maze that we bowl on. The invisible maze is what makes it the sport. So your eye has to understand what it's seeing, because that ball has to go through that pocket at that correct entry angle. And it's actually a measurement, but I don't want to be on here lying about what that is because I don't remember it off the top of my head. But it's a certain entry angle the ball must go through to knock all the pins down. So what makes us all different? Can you shoot 900? Absolutely. And after that lesson, it made me more amped to that I could actually do it's not as much luck as people think it is. It's manipulating the invisible maze that's in between our approach and the pins. If you can understand how everything is transitioning as you're bowling on it, paying attention to what how such and such is playing, what they're using, how it's starting to shift, how the house is. Like I said, I thought I had the advantage in Georgia, which I did. I cashed, but I understood the house. So now when you couple that with some bowlers, the one part that's not going to change is the house. It's going to transition a little funny, depending on who we bowl with, but I understood the house. So the house doesn't change, but the pattern changes. I just have to keep an eye on how the pattern changes versus the topography of the house. So can I shoot 900 if I'm on? Absolutely, I absolutely can. But I have to get my ball to enter the pocket correctly to get the proper pin deflection. There's no such thing as a bad hit. It's just the ball didn't hit the pocket correctly for whatever reason. Oh,
And that brings up a good point. Going back to why we see so many these certain guys having really good success, it's because And you said it. It looks like EJ's playing the lanes the same way every week. Well, it's because he knows what he's looking for.
Yes.
He's looking for a specific shape. He knows if he can create this angle and get his ball to come off the pattern a specific way, he's going to strike forever.
Yeah.
Because his pocket's going to be like this, and his ball's going to go through the pins the right way.
Mhm.
If he can create that, which he's pretty successful at doing, he's going to have a good chance to make shows and win.
Right.
And he's done a lot of it.
He's done a lot of it. Absolutely.
And that's the trick. Is it's just you need to figure out, what your eye wants to see and what's going to work to get you to get the ball to go through the pins the way you need to and create the pocket that you're trying to create.
Right.
And it's so hard.
It is. We didn't say it was easy. We didn't say it was easy, but it is. But it is your responsibility to pay attention to what needs to happen. That's just it. You gotta hold yourself accountable for that. The lanes can catch a slip spot, and I think the hardest part about 2019's game for me, anyways, is just when I thought I was getting good at controlling the fronts and the mid part of the lane, the urethane ball came out. So now I've got another variable that is presenting itself down lane. So now I've got to be able to. We talked about that. Oh, I have to watch my speed because now I can hit the pocket for 24 shots and only strike 15 times. Why? Because I got through one got a little quick, and now all of a sudden the ball slips down lane. So it sees the shape, it's in the line, but that speed allowed it to, instead of it grabbing and going off the spot at the right time, it slipped a foot further, and it came in behind the headpin. And improper pin deflection allows for the pins not to mix the right way or to flush the right way. So therefore, I'm stuck with a blow 7 or a wrap down. So
The real question is why they got all sparkly pin in here?
yeah,
See that? Gold sparkle. Somebody just bought 300.
somebody shooting 300 at Classic Lanes. They earned it.
Yeah, especially.
They're definitely earning it right now.
All right, we're at an hour and 17 minutes.
We out of here, man. I got kids, man.
Yeah, I gotta go and practice.
Yeah. I want to thank you guys for joining us here at the shop. Like I said, this is our little home away from home. I can guarantee I spend more time here than I do at my own house. But I enjoy these guys. I love these guys. These are my brothers. We love bowling for all the right reasons that you love. so they love bowling, and we're passionate about sharing it with others, and we're also passionate about learning too.
You want to see more videos? Give us some likes.
Yeah, give us some likes, man. Stop by the shop. Definitely subscribe to JR's channel. Give him some likes as well.
And Bowlerex.
And oh yeah, we definitely got to plug in our main man Lee. So we got to stop by Bowlerex if you want to look at some equipment that you want to come by at my shop, or some stuff that you want to order from his website. Give us a plug. Like I said, we're out here trying to do bowling the right way.
What's the address?
Our shop address?
Yeah.
2145 Avon Industrial, like y'all have never heard me say it before, but we're located inside Rochester Hills, Michigan, inside of Classic Lanes. And we would love for you guys to come down here, and I got nice, comfortable sofa seats. We got a lot of TVs in here. Video games. Anybody wants that smoke on the video games, I can come through. But seriously though, we really want to change the mindset of bowling and make it more of a positive thing. We want people to want to go practice on purpose. We want you to have a purpose as to what it is you're trying to achieve when you step out on the lanes. JR is always working on things. I can mentally work on things more than I can physically do it, but since I got this big tournament coming up in February, I'm gonna be out here getting the games in too. So
I'm just a cameraman.
yeah, and Anthony's our cameraman, but when he's out there on the weekends, he tries to kick some ass too. So
House bowling.
So stop by and see us. Get in touch with JR for some lessons. Get in touch with myself for some lessons if you'd like, or if you just want to come down and just hang out with us. We would love to have you. Peace.